Hi, everybody. It's great standing here, very excited to be here in front of you, seeing many faces, familiar faces, positive faces. It was a great conference, very interesting, very stimulating and inspiring. And now I will make my presentation after more than 25 years that I am involved in that project. First of all, we heard a lot about two Jews, three opinions. I heard that also they say that two Lithuanians, also three opinions. So you can imagine with this community how many opinions and ideas we can accumulate. I heard of a very funny story also about the community, you could say. A bunch of people is on a journey and they are approaching an island in the middle of nowhere. And then on the island, they find one Jewish person. So they come to him and ask him, "Oh, how long have you been here on that island?" He says, 50 years. "Wow, all by yourself. And what are you doing?" He says, "I'm building two synagogues." "Wow, two synagogues. Why one Jew should need two synagogues?" He says, "Oh, it's simple. This is my synagogue." "Okay, and what is the other synagogue?" He says, "This synagogue is the one my step would never go into." So, well, sorry, it was Lithuanian Jew. What I want to stress is that this project, I think, is not just an outcome and not just a physical thing that should become. But I think it's a process. And in my eyes, the process that I have been involved in, and we are all involved in, is a part of the monument. I think this conference, and you are a part of this monument. And I think that once it is built, it will still be an ongoing process. Now, during these 25 years, there were three important entities that were involved in the project, and I would like to thank them all. First of all, the Ministry of Culture, that, as a matter of fact, was the one that launched the competition parallel to Perestroika, parallel to the fact that the Jewish community could deal with their identity, and parallel to Lithuania becoming an independent country. The idea of the competition was to commemorate the once vibrant Jewish community living here in Lithuania and in Vilnius. And the competition was launched together with the municipality of Vilnius, which was the second entity, and the community of the Jewish community of Lithuania and of Vilnius. They were always involved. I could say that also, let's say, after Lithuania gained its independence in '92, Willy Gordon and myself, who are the authors of the project, were invited to Lithuania to meet with Mr. Kuolis, which you remember, you know, and the mayor, I think at that time it was Jasulaitis, and they were interested to realize the project, and therefore they invited us to come here and to help it happen. And of course, also were involved the presidents of Lithuania that were also here. It was Mr. Landsbergis, the head of state, that was supportive of the project at that time. Mr. Adam Kus, who was also on the honorary board of the project, and Mr. Brazaukas, that was actively involved in the project. Okay, now it was the idea of Anna, and it's a good idea, that maybe for that conference I should prepare a 3D animation of the project so it would be easier to understand the project. And that was quite an adventure to go into it, because suddenly it really developed a lot. And you will be the first ones to see this animation. And just before that, I need to explain a little bit about the project so it would be easier for you to understand it. So, where is the... yeah, I have it. So, I became acquainted with the site of the Great Synagogue when I was working in Sweden as a young Israeli architect. I received an envelope with details about the international competition for a monument to commemorate the once vibrant Jewish community of the city of Vilnius and its tragic fate. I was deeply touched as a human being and as a daughter to a Lithuanian Jewish family. My mother originally is from Shilali, which recently I found out that the mayor of Vilnius, Mr. Šimašius, is also from. My father, who was born in Vilnius, was a Holocaust survivor, arrived to Israel in 1957. My father and his family were tormented during the war. One of this family's survivors is sitting here with us, my uncle, Professor Joshua Zak. He was a child at the Vilnius ghetto, near the site of the Great Synagogue. These people, after being through the horrors of war, rose from the ashes and concentrated in learning, excelling, and contributing to society. This connects us to one of the Jewish greatest achievements and universal messages: learning no matter what circumstances are. And I believe that this should be one of the central messages that the Jewish Memorial Center in Vilnius should represent and propel around the world. This center can attract to Vilnius and Lithuania a lot of interest, tourists, scholars, artists, scientists who share a deep interest in culture, history, and the future. It can become a basis for cooperation between Lithuania, Israel, and the Jewish world around the world on humanistic and pluralistic grounds. Dealing with the Jewish Memorial Center in Vilnius, therefore, became for me a life task. The process itself, during more than 2 decades, made a difference. So many got involved and supported. It elevated the knowledge and awareness and interest in that very place of the Great Synagogue and Schulhof. It initiated the whole archaeological research and excavation led by a wonderful cooperation between Lithuanian, Israeli, and American experts that are doing an amazing work, and they should be praised for that. Mr. Seligman here. It took time. This is how it usually is with such projects, like it was in Berlin, like it was in Warsaw, and even here at the Duke Palace, which I had the chance to visit under the archaeological excavations together with my friend and colleague, Mr. August Guchas, at that time. I remember that he told me that the excavations of the Grand Duke Palace were actually also from the same era and more or less of the same size of the Schulhof. Here you see from Polin. And I want to say that also Berlin and Polin, the projects, the Jewish museums there took more than 20 years to realize. So we are in 25 years, it's not so bad. And here you can see the great Duke Palace and the wonderful project that was done there. Now, some explanations about the project. The project, as a matter of fact, I can say, like we say in the army, has three important things, three important themes. The first one, and the central theme, is that it is located on the very center, the spiritual center and cultural center of the Jewish community that once has been here, including Strashun Library, Gaon, and Vilnius, and the Gaon from Vilnius. It will take more time. I'm soon finished. The second important theme is, as a matter of fact, the restoration of the Jewish street. As an architect, I was looking at this project from an architectonic point of view, and you all know that, as a matter of fact, a big part of the Jewish street was demolished, and today it stands like a wound in the old city. So I think an important thing would be to restore the path of the Jewish street. And here you can see the historical plan. Wait a second. Here, you see the Jewish street, and you see this is the historical way that the buildings were standing in this area. And in red is, as a matter of fact, the Schulhof, including the Great Synagogue, Strashun, the synagogue or Bet Midrash of the Gaon from Vilnius, and where it is believed that the Gaon himself used to live in. Now, this is the situation today. It's, as a matter of fact, a superposition, which means that you see one upon the other. You see that the street used to be here, but today it goes like that. It goes, as a matter of fact, over where Strashun Library used to stand. And here we see the kindergarten that under the Soviet period was built just on top of the synagogue. And here you see a beautiful view of the Jewish street as it used to be before the war, and here after the war, before it was totally demolished in the 50s. Okay, this is again a superposition, and this is what it looks like today, this area. It's an open area, you can say. And this is actually the proposition, as a matter of fact, to rebuild on the footsteps of what has been a cultural center that will be a contemporary culture center on the footsteps of what has been. So everything that will be built like in steps, just on top of what has been. Okay. So here's again a 3D version. It's the historical way. This is, once the kindergarten will be moved, this is the way it should be looked. And this is a superposition showing the Schulhof within the fabric, the historical fabric, and the buildings of today. And this is, here you can see also, very important to say, Willy Gordon, the sculptor that did the project together with me. He's a Swedish sculptor, and unfortunately he already passed away. He also has roots here in Lithuania. And this is the model of the project showing beautifully the restoration of the street. And this dot shows up to here the buildings still exist, and from here it's open. And this is the facade showing the idea for restoration with a beautiful gable of the synagogue and the new buildings that already stand here on Wojtków Street. Now, 2011, two very important things happened. And one thing is, a matter of fact, the decision of the government to start to make sample diggings, excavations, to find out if really there are rests of the synagogue underneath. And it showed that our assumption in the project were right. There were rests. And you can see here, well, you can recognize these people, I guess. Emanuele Zingeris, Simonchik, like we call him, Zenonas, and the Prime Minister. And this is, I think we maybe saw it. These were the test excavations that now placed on top of the plan. And you can see the amazing column of the synagogue. And these are the excavations that came later on with John Seligman and the Lithuanian team. And the other important thing that happened was that the mayor of Vilnius invited me to come again to Vilnius and to work closely with the experts and team of the municipality. And we started a whole process that from 2011 to 2015, when we adjusted the city plan to the project. I also got different a list of decisions, like things that I had to refresh the project accordingly. And also this board, honorary board, was established with the president and the prime minister and with the Minister of Foreign Affairs. The project was presented to the President Peres, President of Israel, and he was also invited by Mr. Linkavicius to join the honorary board. And this was the decision, the final decision of the municipality to start with the minimal first phase of the project. And this was the revised plan, the city plan that did a new plotting of the area in order to restore the original Jewish path and the project. So this is the minimal, medium, and I think that now probably we are ready for the movie. And just before you watch the movie, I want to tell you just 3 things. When you look at the movie, bear in mind that the project is modular. It's very important to know. It's not a final project. It is a concept. So the concept can be adjusted to what is needed. And that this is, as a matter of fact, a place or a stage for activities that deal with culture and learning. The content is a major thing that I think should be developed and discussed. Okay, so I hope that you will enjoy the movie, and now it comes.